Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Well, happy MLK Day to you. I hope your day is a good day, and I hope you make it even better. But today I want to talk about enhancing our listening skills. And I know I am guilty of this. I know in the past I've had conversations with people and I had to say, I'm sorry, what did you say? And you know what? I didn't know how important or how that made them feel until it actually happened to me. And I didn't like it. So I only imagine the person that I was talking to, and I said, I'm sorry, what did you say? How they felt. And it's funny that way because we don't realize just how somebody else feels until we actually experience what was done to them, what we've done to them, to ourselves. So I think listening is one of the most essential skills for effective communication. I think it's like almost a lost art. It involves more than just simply hearing words. I mean, it's an active process of understanding, interpreting, and even responding to what is being said. Unfortunately, in today's fast-paced world, many people struggle while listening effectively. And that's due to a lot of reasons: distractions, multitasking, and even lack of focus. And like I said a few minutes ago, I'm guilty of having no focus or lack of focus sometimes, especially when I was in class at times and I had an instructor that was just, oh my goodness, boring. I'm quite sure you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. I think that listening to someone and being intentional without listening, it will definitely help us not only improve our relationships, but enhance our learning and foster a better understanding in both personal and our professional settings. So why is it really important? I'm waiting for an answer. That was a question. I'm only kidding you. All right, so building, I think, strong relationships is one of the key things while we're listening to someone, whether it's in professional or whether it's personal. Good listening skills builds trust, and it also helps us foster mutual respect. And that's what we all want in any conversation, is that respect, right? When you actively listening to someone, it shows that you value their perspective and care about their feelings, which strengthens your relationship. So listening is like the fundamentals of acquiring knowledge. By truly listening, you're more likely to understand and retain the information being shared, whether it's in a classroom setting, a meeting, or a casual conversation. And I believe we've all been there at times, twiddling our thumbs when someone else was talking. And especially in a classroom meeting or even a casual conversation. Now, I know I'm not a good person to just listen. I actually have to be engaged. Listening, I have to be able to mix it up with reading, listening, and action. I actually have to, I'm one of those. Okay, I have to be moving, I have to be engaged. And the conversation, I'm sorry, it has to be engaging for me. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're in a position where that conversation is just downright boring, or we just completely have no interest in it. But that's not fair to the other person that's actually talking to us. So I think it's important that if that is the case, then you probably say, hey, look, don't mean to be disrespectful, or don't mean no disrespect by this, but I have to go. Perhaps we can have a conversation another time, or this doesn't really interest me. Try being honest. I mean, I'm like that in a heartbeat. I'll tell you in a minute. Hey, look, this doesn't really interest me. Where are we going with this conversation? You know, this is not my cup of tea. But I'm being honest because I don't want to waste their time, and I definitely don't want to waste my own time because I think time is crucial. It's so critical for us to just be sitting there wasting each other's time. So listening to someone intently, I think it plays a critical role in resolving conflicts as well. By fully hearing the other person's side of the story, because we get in heated conversations and sometimes we don't even care what that other person is saying. Sometimes it doesn't matter. We just want talk and get our own point across. But sometimes in order to resolve conflicts, we have to be in the middle. We have to say, hey, look, I want to hear this person's point of view. And then basically, hey, let me see if we can meet in the middle. But conflict resolution is all about listening. And it's not just about talking. You actually have to find a common ground where you guys can actually say, all right, this might work. Or find a common ground where it can work. Effective listening skills is all part of that. And believe me, when you actively listen, you're better able to analyze situations, understand the needs of others, and identify potential solutions to the problems. Because if you're not listening, then you won't even know what the problem really is. I'm going to give you a case in point. I remember a couple of years back, somebody asked me, I actually was going for a job, and they said, can you tell me one time on your job where you had a conflict with or the person, or you had to resolve an issue over the phone? And this guy wanted to cancel his service, and because he was just simply unhappy, and it seems like the people he was talking to just wasn't doing a good job in resolving his conflict or his interest. And I was brand new. This was actually my first day on the job. And I was talking to the guy, and I had a supervisor listening in, and they were pointing to each rebuttal that I should read. And, you know, I'm looking at this supervisor like, hey, you're not even hearing what this guy is saying. And then guess what? The guy that I was talking to was saying, hey, look, man, just cancel my service. You ain't even listening to me. And I said, I'm sorry, sir. You're right. I wasn't listening to you. I was just trying to read the rebuttal that my supervisor keeps pointing at because I'm new here. But I tell you what, I'm going to go off the record here. How can I help you? I want to give you my undivided attention, and I'm not listening to the supervisor right now. All I want to do is see if I can help you. And guess what? I was able to help him. I was able to take care of him. I was able to keep him as a customer. And not only was I able to help him, but was promoted that same day to conflict resolution by my supervisor's manager, because he overheard the whole conversation. And he says, you know what? I believe you have what it takes for conflict resolution. How would you like to become a conflict manager? And I said, absolutely. Does it come with more pay? That's what we all want to know, right? But anyway, I'm really getting off a topic, but it's all about listening. And that was the key point to that conversation, or to that example of my little story. It's all about listening. And I believe, and I you know what, like even after that happened, I basically ghosted a lot of people in conversations. You know, I'm actively there with you physically, but I am vacant mentally. I'm not listening. So I actually had to work on that. And I don't know if that happens to you a lot. You know, even at work, you know, you're on a phone call and you're trying to resolve somebody's issue, and then all of a sudden you take a space trip. And that's what I call them, you know, mental space trip, because you're nowhere here and you're gone. So I think by enhancing our listening skills is definitely a vital skill. And like I said, I believe it's a lost art. It's great for collaboration, understanding tasks, and also it's a great way to receive feedback. And I think if you're listening and if you're participating in meetings or anything of that nature, you definitely want to enhance your skills for listening, because it's just only going to make things a whole lot better for you. So what are some key elements of listening? And I'm going to give you the first one. I think everybody already know. Active listening. Active listening is the practice of fully concentrating on what is being said, understanding the message, and responding appropriately. When somebody's actually talking to you, you want to be able to be in that conversation. You want to be present. It requires you to be focused and have attention with that person and having an open mind. And guess what? I would say also a willingness to engage with whoever is talking. Okay? And then the next thing is becoming a real good listener is all about having empathy. Being empathetic to listening involves trying to understand the person's emotion or needs or perspective. It goes beyond merely hearing the words that they speak to connect with that speaker or that person that's talking. So that is the first one, I would say, active listening, and the second is empathy. But I have a third one for you. And I would say listening is not just about hearing those words. And I keep saying that because a lot of people would listen, but they just only listen to the words and they don't listen to comprehend or read between the lines, so to speak, and understand what a person is really saying, or better yet, what a person is really not saying. Because sometimes it's not all about what a person is saying. Sometimes it's about what they're not saying. That's really key and important. Even when coaching, when you're coaching someone, sometimes, like a good coach is going to know there's something missing here. But I believe that certain people, even parents, they have that intuition, I would say, where they know, okay, something is not right here, or this is out of character. And everybody who's a parent, I mean, if you know your children, you know what I'm talking about. You know, okay, I hear the words, I hear what they're saying, but there's something else missing here. I want to know what they're not saying. So I know if you're a parent, you get what I'm saying. So also part of listening is all about reflective listening, the technique where listener paraphrases or repeats back what is being said to them. So I think that's part of it too. So and sometimes, we have distractions all around us. I think sometimes if we're having a conversation, we want to make sure, especially if it's important enough, we want to make sure that we can eliminate any distractions at that time. Like sometimes when somebody is calling me and they want to talk to me, and I might, let's say if I'm watching TV, instead of trying to finish watching TV and simultaneously talk with them, I'll shut the TV off or I'll shut it down so I don't have to hear anything, so I can give them my full undivided attention. And I think we have to do that in our conversations, whether we're in front of the person or basically over the phone or even Zoom or anything of that nature. So those are some key things that we can enhance. And so what are some practical tips? And I mentioned a couple of them a few minutes ago. This is key for me, giving our full attention. The first step is becoming a better listener, is to give your full attention to whoever is talking. This means putting away distractions such as your phone, computer, or even other devices. Depends on where you're at. Focus solely on that person who's talking. Maintaining eye contact and giving them your undivided attention. And that's only if you're in front of them. I mean, of course, if you are over the phone, it's a different thing. You just want to make sure that you are, like I said, I turned the TV off or I turned it down. You want to mitigate all your distractions. Avoid interrupting a person while they're speaking. And I'm going to tell you something. I was good for this. I was really good at interrupting you while you're talking to me. But now I've learned to be more laid back and more just listening. And then when I hear the opening or the pause, then I might say something. But the common barrier to effective listening is just trying to mitigate the urge to interrupt a person. People often interrupt others because they are eager to express their own thoughts or jump to their own conclusions. However, interrupting can disrupt the flow of a conversation and make the speaker feel unheard or unimportant. Practice being patient, because we do that a lot. We basically, while someone's talking, we're already thinking about what we want to say. I think you would be able to paraphrase or practice, and that's my next key for you. Practice patience. Sometimes people take longer to express their thoughts than we might expect. Important practice is patience, allowing the speaker to finish without rushing them to finish their own sentences or act like you got somewhere to go, or, the time is so important. Give them space. Let them communicate their ideas. So that is one key that you can take away with today's mention of enhancing your listening skills. And another one you could is use positive body language. Have you ever talked to somebody and they're leaning back and, they act like they don't even want to talk to you? Your body language plays a significant role in your communication. And even nonverbal cues, such as nodding, maintaining eye contact, and leaning slightly forward instead of backward, can show anybody that you're listening, and you're on purpose. You're listening with a purpose. You want to know what they're saying. Positive body language also helps create an environment where the speaker feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. So think about that the next time you're talking to somebody, and be open-minded, right? Avoid jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. You want to listen. While the speaker is talking, I'm going to tell you, I'm big at interrupting you and giving my own opinions. And that was me. That was a long time ago. But now I like to listen because I gain more by listening. And I think you learn more by less talking. And that's just my opinion. But, you could do your own thing. I'm just trying to give you a little tips and ideas on how to enhance your listening skills. And here's another one. This is a big one. I just mentioned it a few minutes ago. You don't want to talk about what you're going to, or think about what you want to talk about next. One of the common mistakes in listening is preparing your response while they're still speaking. And I was guilty for this. I'm telling you, I'm being transparent, but I had to learn. And I learned to wait. I learned to understand. I've learned to grip and be like a sponge and soak it all in. And then I'm going to give a thoughtful reaction. So the next thing is asking questions for clarification. So why should I ask questions? That's number one. If you're unclear about something that this person is talking about, you definitely, especially in a meeting or a school, you always want to ask questions, because questions are the gateway to clarification. You definitely want to ask questions. This shows that you're actually listening, you're engaging, and you're trying to understand what the purpose of the message is. That's basically what you're trying to do. And then you want to have a full understanding. Try summarizing what you've heard. That's a great way to figure out if you're understanding what that person is saying. And then I'm big on this. Be empathetic. Show empathy. It's a crucial part of effective listening. Put yourself in the speaker's shoes and try to understand their emotions, their thoughts, and even their perspective. This will help you respond in a more compassionate and thoughtful way. When I used to do tech support, and I used to do like customer service or something like that, it was all about listening with empathy, listening with compassion. Because even though a person might be calling me and they're calling upset, I know they're not upset at me. I don't take it personally. So what I do is I try to hear what's the real issue, and then what do they want as an outcome? What would they like to have done because of this issue? And those are the things that we can try to meet in the middle to make things a little bit better for them or resolve their issue completely. You have to be able to listen with empathy and compassion. So that's my talk for you today, and I think I've said enough. But if you want, I have a few exercises that you can actually go through and help you with your active listening skills and help you enhance your listening skills. All you have to do is just email me enhanced listening skills. And I'll send this, I think it's a pamphlet of maybe 10 pages of what you can do and how you can actually enhance your listening skills. It's all about practicing. It's just like when you go into the gym and you want to build your biceps. You got to get the dumbbells, you got to do curls, you got to do pull-ups. These things will help you start to build biceps. So if you want to build your active listening skills, you need to practice. So how do you practice? I just gave you a bunch of tips on how to do it. But if you want it in print, just email me at thelastpodcast443@gmail.com and I will get it out to you. No charge. It's all free. Everything I do here is free. And if you're a poet and you want to have your poems read on the show, or you want to send in an audio of you reading your poems, hey, do that at thelastpodcast443@gmail.com. And please, if you are a listener and you're always listening, and if you're a new listener, don't forget to be here on Poetry Friday. Every Friday I have poems, but now you're going to be uplifted by other poets because I have some new poems coming out through other poets. So don't miss that. It's going to be great. I thank you so much for listening. And before you go, do me a favor and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, because I don't want you to miss out on all the great content that I'm going to provide this year. I thank you so much. Be blessed. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.